Today, we've got a story for you that's both, epic and at the same time incredibly personal. It's a love story from more than 150 years ago, all about two very ordinary people building a life in a world that was rapidly changing. But what's really fascinating is how this very old story was brought back to life in a way that is, well, unbelievably modern. So let's set the scene. We're in Connecticut, right after the Civil War. Just try to imagine it. The air is thick with the sounds of industry. This is a mill town, a place defined by hard work, but also by new beginnings. It's where the lives of thousands of people, a lot of them immigrants, are all tangled up in the constant rhythmic clatter of the looms. And it's right there, in the middle of all that noise, that our story really kicks off. A 20-year-old weaver, Thomas Richmond, he's pretty new to the mill, and he hears something that literally stops him in his tracks. But it's not the sound of a machine. It's the sound of a person, a young woman humming a tune. It's just this little spark of humanity in a huge industrial world.
Yeah, their whole story starts with just a simple question in that mill. A first meeting that would, well, it would end up changing absolutely everything for them.
So let's meet them. On one side, we've got Thomas Richmond. He's this young, really hardworking weaver who came over from England when he was just a boy. And on the other, we have Juliett White. She's a practical, strong Connecticut native who's working as a clerk. So you can see they come from pretty different worlds, but they share this space. And they definitely share a powerful work ethic. So their connection pretty quickly moves beyond the noise of the mill floor. It finds a new voice in a much, much quieter space, the local church choir. And this is really where that first little spark of acquaintance starts to blossom into something much, much more. You know what's really remarkable here? It's just how fast this all happened. I mean, look at this. From their first meeting in the spring to a proposal in the snow that winter, their entire courtship unfolds in just one single year, 1867. And it all really started to take off because they both loved music. So music kind of became their shared language. This quote from Juliett, it tells you so much about her. She sees music almost as a form of prayer. And you can just picture it, right? At choir practice, Thomas would sing these old English folk songs, and Juliett would find the notes on the organ, and then she'd trade them for her favorite American hymns. So as their walks home from choir practice become a regular thing, you can feel the unspoken tension building between them. And then one crisp autumn evening, Juliett, she just deals with it head on. No games, no coyness, just a direct, honest question. It's such a pivotal moment, and it really shows you her strength and her clarity. And get this, after Thomas admits, yes, I am, Juliett doesn't just say yes back. Oh no, she sets the terms. It's not a negotiation, it's just a statement of fact. This is how their courtship is going to work. She is, just as her future mother-in-law would later say, a woman who absolutely knows her own mind. Okay, so the courtship moves along through the fall, and as winter starts to set in, we get to the emotional peak of their story. The scene is set on a snowy December Sunday, right in the White family's modest little parlor. Out on the porch, with snow just starting to fall around them, Thomas proposes. And listen to what he says. He doesn't just ask for her hand. He acknowledges her entire life, her family, her responsibilities. He's not just marrying her, he's joining her. And his promise is so simple and so profound. Everything else we'll manage together. And then he asks the question that's been building for months. A weaver asking a clerk to build a life with him. He's not promising wealth, but he is promising hard work, honor, and a true partnership. And her answer is just as simple and every bit as powerful. Yes. And with that one single word, their future is locked in. So the promise was made, but now came the part where they actually had to build the life they'd dreamed of, starting with a wedding and their very first home. They were married on June 20th, 1868. It was a modest ceremony at the Baptist church, decorated with wildflowers. And it was filled with their friends from the mill and the choir, the very community that had watched their love grow from the very beginning. And they begin their marriage with such a powerful blessing. This is from Thomas's mother, Hannah. You see, she sees in Juliett not just a bride for her son, but the strong partner that he needs. It's just this beautiful moment of acceptance and validation. So this was their first home. And look, it wasn't much, just a small rented house in Putnam, Connecticut, but it was theirs. They were independent, but still close to family. It even had a little plot for a garden, a place where they could literally put down roots.
This little house was the foundation for everything that came next. And it really doesn't take very long for that future to get started. Before they know it, the couple who met in a mill and fell in love over hymns are getting ready to become parents. I mean, their first year of marriage was a total whirlwind. They get married in June, and by December, they know they're expecting a baby. And then, just a little over a year after their wedding, on July 13th, 1869, their first child, a daughter they named Anne Frances, or Annie, is born. And as Thomas holds his newborn daughter for the first time, he makes this promise to take care of his new family. But Juliet, she gently corrects him. See, it's not just his promise to keep. It's a shared one. No, she says, we're going to make a good life together. And that right there is the very core of their partnership. Now, it's really important to take a second and understand how this story was even told. The author's note makes it super clear that this is what we call historical fiction. The people, the dates, the places, all of that is real. Thomas and Juliet Richmond really existed. But the conversations, the specific scenes, those were imagined to honor their memory and to bring their world to life for us. And here it is. Here is the modern twist I mentioned at the very beginning. This deeply human, 150-year-old story, from the dialogue you've heard to the very images you're seeing, was reconstructed with help from a cutting-edge artificial intelligence. It's this fascinating collaboration, right? Using 21st century technology to shine a light on a 19th century life. Pretty amazing. So what does a story like this teach us? Well, it's a really powerful reminder that love and a true partnership are the bedrock of a good life. It celebrates these timeless values, like just plain hard work and honesty. But maybe the most important thing is that it shows us how these universal human stories can connect all of us across time, and that sometimes the newest tools can actually help us unearth the oldest treasures. Which really brings us to a final thought. I mean, the story of this weaver and this clerk was just hidden away in old census records and family trees until someone decided to bring it to life. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What stories from your own family's past are just sitting there, waiting for someone to tell them?